So ISO standard, ISO 9001 2015 has got 8 elements, correct? So nobody objected. I said ISO standard has got 8 elements.
10 elements, sir.
Nobody
10.
objected. Why did you not object?
No, I objected, sir, but I
Attentive,
will
maybe.
put mute, sir.
So you can unmute now for the discussion. I want prompt response. And the first clause is normative reference. The second is scope.
No,
The third
first is scope. First is scope.
Okay, very good. Junaid, clap. Next.
Normative reference.
Fantastic.
Terms and
Third
definition.
clause. Fourth.
Context of the organization.
Fifth.
Leadership.
Sixth.
Planning.
Wonderful. 7.
Support.
Support. Fantastic. 8.
Cooperation.
Absolutely brilliant, Yusuf. 9.
Performance and evaluation.
Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. And then 10.
Improvement.
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 Brilliant. Top class. When we talk about context, we talk about external issues that can have influence on the organization's operation and achievement of the objectives with regard to the quality management. We talk about internal issues that can affect their quality management system and achievement of their objectives. Internal issues and external issues are bringing risks and opportunities. So what is required that the organization determines the external and internal issues, right? Next, the standard requires the organization to determine the needs and expectations of the interested parties. Who is influenced by the organization? Who has got interest in the company? Stakeholders, owners, employees, neighbors, those are buyers, customers, are all stakeholders. So their needs and expectations are to be considered. Then comes scope of quality management system and not applicable requirements. Some requirements are not applicable. For example, some company does not do design. A car service station does not do design. They do servicing based on technical requirement, based on customer requirement, based on the procedure given by the original equipment manufacturer, for example, Ford. But a pressure vessel manufacturing company designs the pressure vessels and then manufactures. Construction company where Abdul Razak works, they do the construction of flow lines or tanks. They are not involved in the design. So design is not applicable for them. And without that, also their job is not affected. Somebody else is designing as per their scope of work, they do only construction. So not applicable requirements also has to be identified clearly. Scope, boundary, and not applicable requirements. Then quality management system and the processes. You have to identify key processes and their interaction. Correct? That's all about context. When it comes to the leadership, it is expected that the leadership develops quality policies, principles of the organization, creates an atmosphere of positivity that we have to support customer, we have to be customer focused. To create a customer focused organization, motivate people to work towards that goal, that take pride in delivering the goods and services, meeting the delight, making the customer delighted. Ordinary organization cannot become extraordinary. If they are not delighting the customer, they will not go to the top. It is impossible. They will remain mediocre. They might live long. They will be one of the players, but they cannot go to the top. Top organizations look for excellence. They look for customer delight. So the top management is expected to create a customer-focused organization. Accept responsibility and accountability for quality management system. Make sure they provide resources, infrastructure, and make sure they define roles and responsibilities, develop an organization, establishes roles, responsibility, and accountability and authorities. and then sets objectives, etc. In clause number 6, we are talking about planning. In planning, we talk about how to develop an organizational system. So quality management system planning, how the quality management system will be applied. This could be the same process and their interaction, procedures, processes, flow charts, all those kind of things, risks and opportunities. Also a part of planning, risk planning, opportunity planning, all right? Determining what is requirement, decide objectives, plan to achieve objectives, and those objectives shall be aligned with the strategic direction of the organization. There is no purpose of quality management system objective or quality management system itself if it does not improve the performance of the organization and makes it a better organization. Trust me, none of you would feel good to work for a company which is not respected. And you are the one who is making the organization also respectable by your good work. We are all responsible to create good name for the company by your good work. So it's your responsibility. That's one of the requirements in clause number 7, to make sure people are aware of their roles and responsibility and deviation, how this can affect the organization. You should know, if I deviate, this is how organization is going to be affected. This is all in clause number 7. Human resources, competence, awareness, infrastructure, building, work environment, documented information, measuring and monitoring resources. These are all part of support. So if we are talking about the building is not suitable for this purpose, it is infrastructure problem, support problem. Your machinery is breaking down very frequently, resource problem, infrastructure problem, too much heat, too much humidity, work environment problem. If Junaid, if there's too much of humidity and sand blowing, you immediately stop blasting and coating, right? Because you have to take what is the dust grade after the blasting has been done. If sand is continuously blowing, your surface will not have that cleanliness. And all the dust filling the crevices, filling the surface, will act as a separator. So if there is dust and sand blowing, you are going to stop the coating immediately. So these are work environment. Then comes, once you provided resource, operation. In operation, again planning. So production realization plan, how you are producing the product, inspection and test plan, forming plan, things like that, right? Very, very important. Next comes knowing what is the requirement for the product and services, what customer needs. Got my point? What customer needs, what customer expects with regard to the product. Very, very important. That's clause number 8.2. So what is required is the organization has to identify the requirement for the product or services clearly. And they should have ability to offer the product and services that the customer is requesting or asking for. So the organization shall determine the requirement of the product and services that is coming from the customer. They have to communicate with the customer and evaluate their own ability that can they do it? Can they produce this? For example, MPI got a job that within next month, you have to start a 50-kilometer long pipeline order where you have to make maybe 10,000 metric ton of pipes. And per month, this is going to be your output of 40-inch pipe. And the requirement is that it will be, say, 20 mm thickness, including 3-layer PE coating. That's the order you have got. Big order. You can do it. But you may not be able to do it next month. Correct? So you say that, sorry, sir, we have got all capacity, but our capacity is not that big that we can produce this much and give it to you. But if it is 2 kilometers per month, including coating and painting for this size, we can do, but 5th month we can start delivering. Because the moment we order, it will come from outside. There is no local manufacturer of coils. So we have to place it to a different country. They will take at least 2 to 3 months time. That is the earliest we can start. And it will take 1 or 2 months time for me to produce. So 4 months is the earliest. 5th month we can start delivering. That's what is communication with the customer and review. Sometimes you have got capacity, but the schedule you may not be able to meet. So these kind of review, communication, and agreement before you commit your services in the product needs to be documented, and those documented information shall be retained. That's the requirement of the standard. Once you know this, you start designing of the product. The designing needs planning. What is design plan? Planning means who does what, when things will start, when things will finish, when the design will start, when design will finish, who is going to do the design, who is going to verify the design, who will be involved in the review process, who will approve the design. Is it going to go to the consultant or going to the customer for approval? Is there an involvement of a professional engineer to review the design? If it is division 2, section 8 division 2, it needs a professional engineer to verify the design, things like that. Then, how much time do we have to complete the design? How the verification will be done? How the changes will be managed? If there is any change requested by the customer, again, you have to go through the whole process. So these are all part of design planning process. Design control is design verification. Verification is like checking the calculations. So if Junaid is doing the design, it is expected that the independent person does the cross-checking. Even though it is not mandatory, it is not prohibited that he cannot do design cross-checking. He can do it. Standard does not say that the person doing the design cannot do the verification. Nowhere in the standard it is said. Because when you write an exam, in your exam, you check whatever you have written also. You can find mistakes also in your job. It's like that. So, but design, calculation, verification, review, who does what is to be identified in the plan itself. Sometimes customer can say, okay, you are doing this, there will be verification by the consultant and they will check from independent view. Review means different aspects of design or usability is verified. Right? Somebody is checking from corrosion point of view. Somebody is checking from, erection point of view. Somebody is checking from construction point of view. So review means interdisciplinary involvement. And then design validation by actual performance testing, by proof load testing. Once you validate, you keep record of all those controls. You take inputs from the contract. You take inputs from the standard. You take input from your own guideline. All inputs, all outputs, all verification, all review records are retained as documented information. Why? Imagine after 5 years, there's a failure. The pressure vessel ruptured. In the investigation process, you need to know why this vessel has failed. Was it material problem or design problem? It could be design problem. It could be material problem. It could be abnormal condition which has resulted into the failure, which was not considered as input. Those data were not provided by the customer. So your inputs were wrong. Therefore, the vessel has failed. So those kind of things can happen, and you can perform an investigation provided you have got all those records intact for the life of the vessel and possibly beyond. So once you have designed, the output is the drawing, output is the bill of material or BOQ quantity, right? And then it gives also specification for the purchase. So purchase process comes after the design. They know now we have to buy so much of material, this type of material, these are the type of the tolerance we need, these are the type of property we need. All those things are designed, output from design process. Based on that, you identify the supplier, you place the order to the supplier with all clear information so that the supplier knows this is the exact material my customer needs and the time when I have to deliver without fail. Otherwise, their production will be suffering. So the supplier is aware. It's the same thing. When you get the inquiry from your customer, what you do is what your supplier going to do when you give an order. The same process. So once you get the material, you possibly have to check. You have to specify the condition, what kind of controls you are going to exercise on the supplier. You may say, I will have to have a third-party inspection company, or some of our engineers will visit, or some of our people will cross-verify, or nothing is required. Your quality control department has to independently verify and send it to us. And we give you authority to do self-certification because we regard you as a respected company, capable company. But some companies still says, okay, we respect you as a capable company, but still to reduce the risk, I want a third party to have an independent check. because the risk is too high. Again, sometimes customer might be interested to go. For example, many of our customers are KOC, Aramco, and others. They deserve the right to go to China or anywhere to see the manufacturer's location, and they can check themselves. They're the end users, but they can still have a control on our supplier or the company's supplier, organization supplier. So those things will be part of the purchase process. Now, once the material comes, it goes to the store. Now you are ready for manufacturing. Manufacturing also has a plan, production plan, manpower mobilization plan, equipment plan, all those kind of things. You have to have WPS, PQR, procedure, approved procedure, right equipment, and so on. Validated process. Then you start production, which will be done under controlled condition. Controlled condition means vessel is rolled, shell plates have been rolled, check the circularity, check the joint preparation, check the stage welding, check the stage-wise inspection, long seam welding, surseam welding, dish end welding, all those kind of things can be stage inspection, which is in accordance with the inspection and test plan. While this is done, you are progressing well. And at some point, you have completed the vessel, you do dimensional check, you do nozzle orientation, you do hydro test, you do all those kind of tests to provide evidence that all requirements are now complete. You may have painting, coating, so you have got internal coating, blasting, painting, whatever is requirement, you do that. Then you inspect, and at that point of time, you identify the product so that all the record can be traced. If any product or part of the product is supplied by the customer, you identify them. It is called control of properties provided by the customer or external providers, right? So those kind of things are controlled. And then you also have to control non-conformity. In case of a non-conformity, say one nozzle orientation is not correct. One nozzle from left-hand side has come to the right-hand side by mistake. Can happen. So how you manage those non-conformities, take as it is, maybe corrected for making it in accordance with the requirement, maybe accept with concession, maybe regrade, downgrade, reject, or whatever you do, and then take corrective action. So we have come to clause number 9 now. In 9, we are talking about performance evaluation. You check customer satisfaction, customer perception. Customer perception can be measured by repeated visits, by feedback, by letters, by appreciation letters. Sometimes customer is continuously placing orders. That could be one indication. You can talk to the customers. You have to identify what is customer's perception on you. And if you have to improve upon, talk to the customer. You can take the feedback directly from the customer. Then you perform internal audit. Internal audit is a checking process. When I'm saying you do means the organization must do, not you as an individual. Your role is that you are going to act as an auditor. You have to think what this organization is doing. You do not think that you are implementing ISO. You have to think that you are verifying as an auditor. Your role is auditor. So when I say you do, this means the organization should do that, right? Organization means your customer who is implementing ISO. They are the one. So they have to conduct internal audit at a planned interval. You ask, what is the planned interval? And they have to develop a program. And you have to check whether there is a program, whether the audits are happening in accordance with the program, right? And then you check whether the auditors are independent, do they maintain objectivity and impartiality, whether the audit report goes to the relevant people, and whether non-conformities, if identified during the audit, are acted upon, correction and corrective actions are taken without undue delay, and records of internal audits are retained as documented information. Then these information goes to the top management of the company. They take those inputs for management review. Management review is a process by the top management to assess how the organization's quality management system is working. Is it working well? Means there is production going on smooth. There is no non-conformities. There is no product rejections. Projects are happening on time. Customer is happy. Everyone is doing their job well. The production process is going in full swing with no non-conformity. Everybody knows what they are supposed to do. Everybody is doing job in accordance with their roles and responsibilities. This means system is working. And also the results are all good. Results meet your requirement. Results meet customer requirement. Organization is achieving its quality objectives. If the quality objectives are achieved, what I mentioned earlier also, if the quality objectives are achieved, you are reaching your purpose. Your policy is supported. That yes, policy cannot be measured, so objectives support the policy. And with the objectives being achieved, you are realizing the purpose of the organization. So this organization's basic purpose was this, and objective support that yes, they are achieving those results and they are realizing the basic purpose of the organization. That's what is a management review. So in management review, you have to take inputs and management review has to produce output. Output means the decision taken by the management. One thing is very important here for you to know. Standard does not require a management review meeting. Meeting is not mandatory, but review is mandatory. So you may ask how an organization can do review without meeting. It is quite possible. For example, Junaid and team of your auditors performed the audit and summarized, every department summarized their audit and had a discussion. This report has come to the top management. Imagine I'm the representative of the top management. So I got individual feedback and report from each department which I'm checking. And I'm giving the decision that please do that. These are the improvement target. These are requested fund allocation for some improvement. Yes, I am approving this budget. Those kind of things can be part of the review output. So we will now look at what all are required by ISO 9000 standard with regard to input for management review and what kind of output the standard requires the management to produce. And this will give input for further improvement, because if you go back to the policy requires the top management must demonstrate its commitment to comply with the legal and other requirement and also include a commitment to continuously improve the quality management system and product quality or service quality. So the improvement is essential. If you do not improve, your company will be trailing behind. Somebody else will take over. You are no longer the leader in the market because somebody else is doing better than your company. So this continual improvement should be a mission of an organization. I hope the revision that I gave from the beginning till the end of the standard is now in your mind so that you can move during the audit without being stopped anywhere.